Okay, I think we're live. Welcome, everyone. Glad we're all here together. I'll tell you what, the title of our live stream tonight, our gathering tonight, had to do with the Human Design New Year. And then as I really sat and started to look at what is going on within the next few hours, I realized that it was just way too much to address the Human Design New Year and what that means through the Gate 41, um, and uh, and also address the. Let me make sure I get the whole title: the full moon lunar, the super blood wolf moon lunar eclipse. so so I think that we're, hi Sanjita, I think we're going to talk a bit about or explore the energies tonight of the full the full super blood wolf moon lunar eclipse. And then coming up, I think Tuesday, I'm going to do another. I don't know if it's going to be a live stream or if it's going to be just a video with setting to help you set the energies and settle into the energies of the new year, moving around the mandala. Haven't quite figured out which is the best way to go at this point. So I'll just rely on intuition for that. Hi, Judy. Welcome. And welcome to anybody else who comes on at any time after the recording or during the recording. And so tonight, I've really sat with this for a little while because it was really kind of overwhelming to understand what a super blood wolf moon eclipse is all about. But I made some notes, and if you have anything that you want to add, go right ahead. And as we discuss this a little bit, then I'm sure I know that this is really significant, and it's really a preparation for coming to the beginning of our next journey around the sun for the next year. So I just don't want to miss this particular opportunity to settle into the energies and make the most of the cosmic support that we have at this time for that preparation. So what is a full moon lunar eclipse, a super blood wolf moon lunar eclipse? It is actually, let's go with the easier things to explain. The wolf moon in Native American tradition is the full moon that occurs in January. And part of that whole tradition, or the reason that it's called the wolf moon, is because it's a time when the wolves would howl outside of the community of the tribe, because it was the dead of winter. Perhaps they were hungry, and the howling would happen. And maybe because there isn't a lot of vegetation, it was very pronounced at this time in January. So that's why the full moon in January is called the wolf moon. So it's a super moon, and it's a super moon because the full moon is actually really close to the earth, this particular full moon. And it's coming into, we'll be able to see it on at 12:48 a.m. in the Eastern time zone of the U.S. The time zone that this eclipse is going to happen in universal time is 5:18 a.m. So for us in the U.S., it's actually going to happen in just a few hours. If you're cozied up and warm enough and bundle up and the sky is clear, you can probably go out and see it. So, what happens with an eclipse is, I drew a picture here. So here's my picture. Here's the sun, here's the earth, here's the moon. When there is a lunar eclipse, the earth gets between the sun and the moon, and it casts a shadow on the moon. And the shadow of this particular uh, Earth casting on the moon at this particular time, as far as I understand it, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, it will cast a shadow that will have an orange, will give the moon an orange cast as it eclipses, as it moves between the sun and the moon. So that's why I believe it's called a blood moon. I know there are some biblical references that have meaning, and I didn't really go into that. If you want to research that, go right ahead. So that's kind of astronomically what a super blood full wolf moon is about. Let me take a drink of my chamomile tea because that's just a full mouthful there. So hold on just a moment. Okay. So here's what's interesting about this in terms of looking at where we are on the I Ching mandala of the our travel around around the sun. We're coming to the end of this year, this rotation along the mandala, and perhaps that's what I will explain visually on Tuesday to kind of make that clear as to what we're talking about. But as the sun travels around into the gates of that we look at on the human design chart, it's now in the gate 60. And I believe on our last live stream we talked about how the we're in this Capricorn energy, you know, and the Capricorn holds the archetype and the visual of the goat and that heavy energy of that steady one foot in front of the other, climbing up the mountain one step at a time. And the gate 60 is a Capricorn gate. And the 60 is known in human design as acceptance of limitation. So if we look at this in terms of our sun, we're looking at, this is what came to me. And if you have something that comes to you, please share it. The sun shining light on acceptance of limitation, or as my friend Evelyn Levinson says, acceptance of what is. So here we are having having limitation illuminated in our experience, and we're actually in the last few lines of the gate 60. In the Gene Keys from the Living Library, I really love this quote about the 60th Gene Key. It's the Living Library says, for the Gene Keys, says, the only thing for magic to occur is some form of structure and an open mind. So here we are in this collective energy of being very aware of how we take our steps. And, you know, and in terms of that Capricorn goat image, you know, I see the goat kind of taking these on a narrow path, taking these steps, and they're very limited choices about where to place the next step to maintain the footing of where we're going. So, you know, and it's a very structured process. And the other thing that the other way that the Gene Keys describes the 60 is that it's it's the crack in the vessel, I think it's called. And yes, the sun is in the 61 right. Is the sun in the 61 right now? The sun is actually in the 60 right now. So you have a sun in the 61. I see. Yeah. So the 60, let me show you where that is. Where did I put it? Well, I don't have my phone. That's a rarity. to not be able to show you that. But if you look on the human design body graph, the 60 is actually one of those root gates at the bottom. We talked about that the last time. It's the mutative gate that belongs to the individual circuitry that's right in the center, pointing up toward the sacral center. So it's that first impulse. Remember how we talked about how the root kind of pulses on and pulses off? It's that first impulse of, I want to make a change. I want to make this change that's never been done before, this transformative change that changes everything. But we're just at the beginning, and it's just pulsing on, and that's kind of how the gate 41 is going to be, that energy of the 41 as well, when I talk about that on Tuesday. But this change, it's not, it's like you have to honor the timing of it, and you have to honor the structure that you're in order to get a hold of or ride with the right timing of the change, of the next step up that narrow pathway. So this energy is about understanding the sun shedding light on what structures are we living in, and what of those structures support us, which structures support us, and which structures restrict us, and what do we need to accept about the limitations of the structures and our timing for taking the next step, for remaining in a place of that open mind, while also operating within the structure of the limitations that are around us. So this is a great time. This time of year is a great time to prepare for when we're in full bloom in the summer. But if you look around, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, if you look around, you know that there's not a lot going on that has yet to come to fruition. It's just the beginning. The seeds are still underground germinating at this point. So, and the earth is that structure for the seeds for that new creation, that blossoming that will come later. But for now we have to accept that there is some limitation. Now here's the interesting thing about where we are with this eclipse that's just about to come up. The earth is in the 56, and so is the moon. The moon will go in the 56 during this time of the eclipse. And the moon changes very quickly, but it's going to be in the 56 for the eclipse. The 56 is about the stories that we tell from our experience of the past. And the image that comes up, and I really wish I hadn't packed away my oracle cards from Colette Baron Reed, because there's one in there called The Bard, and it's about stories. And the Bard would go with musical instruments and from town to town, and really stimulate people's imaginations with stories and song, and the wisdom, and carry the wisdom from place to place. So this is all about, in terms of the earth grounding us into the energy of the earth, allowing us to really experience what stories ground us. What stories from the past really ground us. And then that reflection from the eclipse, that moon, which drives us in human design. That's how we look at that. What stories are driving us? And are they true? So this eclipse is like this opportunity to really look at the stories about perhaps our limitations, what we need to accept about those stories, what stories we can throw out that would allow us to come into more acceptance, and what stories really are serving our structure at this point, um, that are preparing us for when we move into the next round, this next journey around the sun. So Pluto is squatting on your sun right now. That sounds extremely it sounds like potential for extreme transformation. Um, interesting. I'm wondering what you really get from that as well. So let's see. Releasing stories. Okay. So eclipses are, astrologically speaking, are a great time, and full moons as well. You know, when we go through a full moon cycle or when we experience a full moon, it's a great time to really look at and begin to release what is no longer serving us. It's a great time in terms of eclipses. To look at eclipses are tied to our past lives or tied to our karma. And I'm going to define karma here as the choices that we've made in the past that have created the experience that we're having right now. So whether you believe in past lives or you don't, it really doesn't matter. Karma is the result of the choices that we've made in the past. So this is a great time during an eclipse to really look at and release what it is that keeps us in the pattern of making the same choices that perhaps are creating those limiting structures that are getting in the way of us being able to accept where we are now so that we have firm footing when it's time to move forward. So I'm wondering if anyone has anything to add to that or any questions about that as we begin to gather our energy and come together here. I'm just going to pause, maybe get some tea. Okay. If you want to type something in, go right ahead. And let's go ahead and just prepare. I really don't know what's coming up for this. Okay, the sun rules your natal 11th house of friendships. You've ended some friendships and probably opened yourself up for great transformation at this point. So good for you. Good for you. Yeah, feeling good to let go. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and come into our circle. Yeah, friendships that were zapping your energy. Absolutely. Maybe weighing down your vitality. Hmm. So as you inhale and then take your subsequent exhale, focus on the release of anything superficially that you're holding on to that you can just easily release with that exhale. And as we do this, let's just visualize those of us who are here now and those who will join us in the future. Let's just visualize us in a circle collectively, inhaling and exhaling and releasing on the exhale. And as we're creating this etheric circle among us, a song just came to me, so I'm just going to throw it out there. It's probably kind of descriptive of the times, the lyric, sometimes the sun goes round the moon, um, as opposed to the earth going around the moon. I won't sing it for you. Um, it's kind of like that. It seems almost like that, like things are just sort of, and it's kind of like how an eclipse is as well. That it's just not how we expect to see things out there, and it's all what we see out there is really a reflection, which is also a good energy to ground ourselves into during an eclipse period, of seeing the reflections of what it is that we're releasing, that still needs to be balanced, and what it is that is kind of being shaken up or moved into a different position, so that we can see something different about our lives, about our place within the groups that we belong, or the human group that we belong to. And it may appear to be off kilter, but if you know the lyrics to that song, it's really about someone who was waiting to be noticed by the person that she wanted to be with. And that person was looking somewhere else and suddenly came round and saw her. And there was this moment where of the unexpected. And that person was recognized and loved when they were there for that person all along. And this will resonate with the projectors, being there for someone, whether wisely or not, whether it was serving you or not, being there for someone and guiding them as they were looking for something that you had for them. And then finally, them turning and seeing you. And I don't remember any of the rest of the lyrics, but anyway, sometimes the sun goes round the moon. And sometimes that's just enough to illuminate or reflect just the right light to make the connection that needs to be made. Anyway, let's come back. Continue to breathe. And begin to breathe through your heart. Let's open up that heart space. That seems to be what is calling to me right now, is this need to really open up and shine. Here's another image. Standing on the earth, on our home, grounded. Let's feel ourselves grounded on our home on the earth, in the stories that we have created, in the stories of our past, in the wisdom that has allowed us to develop. And let's imagine that the sun is at our backs and the moon is in front of us. And the light of the sun shines through the space of our hearts toward the moon, toward our drive, toward our toward what we need, what really regulates us. So as you're moving this light through your heart space, just breathe and allow it to project out, allow it to illuminate what you need to see in the shadows of the eclipse. And as we're working with this, I'm seeing the moon almost like a movie screen. Like this is an opportunity for us to really allow that Capricorn embrace, that steady Capricorn energy that we can embrace and accept to come through us and illuminate what stories, what are our stories, what stories are valuable that we want to tell, that we want to share. Everything that you've experienced up to this point has contributed in one way or another to your ability to take the next step forward. So, what parts of your history are calling to you that you really do want to embrace as your container or as part of your structure as you move forward? So allow that to just be reflected off of the moon. And as it's reflected and as you see it, it doesn't have to be a concrete thing. You may feel energy or imagine light. Inhale deeply and allow yourself to take in that energy of those those stories that make up who you are, the history that you're carrying that is part of your wisdom. And let that just settle into wherever it feels comfortable in your body. This is your piece that you bring to the world, that you bring to the collective, to assist in as you establish yourself in your next steps. It assists and supports you and others. This is your wisdom, the container of your wisdom that you will carry forward and ride forward in. And along with that history, maybe other things, distortions in perception, past traumas, maybe traumas that weren't even yours, that you're still holding on to um, deep within you. And let this light that's moving from the sun through your heart show you what that is, show you what that energy is about, so that you can really see it. Now, here's the funny thing about eclipse energy. Of course, the eclipse is that shadow that where you can't really see. So if you can't see clearly what it is, or even if you are seeing something very clearly that is a distortion that you're still holding on to, it may not be the whole story. So just allow this energy to leave your vessel, to leave your container, to leave the container of your cells and your DNA, and allow it to just move into the shadows where the earth eclipses the moon. And this is where it's going to stay and percolate and transform over the next 5 months or so. So just trust as you move that energy out of your structures and containers, the structure of your body and the container that you are working with in this life. Just as you move that out, let the energy of the shadow of the earth and the moon that this eclipse is forming, let it embrace all of that you're releasing. And as we do this, let's be aware that we're doing this collectively, we're doing this as a group. This has great power for transformation because we're all focused on the release. We don't even need to know what it is. We're just funneling it out, allowing it to take its place within the shadows, allowing the shadow to embrace it, to pull it out of us, to work with it so that we can remain in this place of the magic of the of where we are now, of the magic of being able to stay within these structures that serve us with an open mind. And take some deep breaths. And just let it continue to move out and move out. And remember that you belong here on the earth. So keep your feet planted, keep yourself grounded, and allow that energy to just move. I can tell that I'm within the structure, within my cat's structure here. He's out there begging to get in. Let's finish this up. He's not very accepting of limitations at this point. Okay, so take another deep breath and allow anything else to clear off that's not serving you. Allow anything else to go that needs to go from your structures. Allow any structures that need to be released, that aren't containers for you anymore, that aren't supportive of you anymore. Just open yourself up to the possibility that they can be broken up. And even though it may look like in the coming months the sun is going around the moon and things are falling apart, it's just part of the breakthrough that you will make throughout this next year. So come back into your body. Come back into your heart. You can allow yourself to be sovereign and individual at this point, and release the energy flow from the sun. Release the energy flow out into the moon. Maybe put your hands on your heart and just allow yourself to settle back in. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. My eyes really got teary. There's something in this one. Carly Simon. Is that Carly Simon's song? I'm not sure about that. Sometimes the sun goes around the moon. Sometimes I forget the rest of it. If I remember, or if I find the lyrics, I'll post them in the description. So I'm just curious about maybe what you were shown, or what was reflected for you. And it's okay if there wasn't anything concrete that was reflected. I really got the sense that, of course, there's no linear time here when we're working in these energetic dimensions, but the sense that as we move into the linear eclipse piece, we will it will begin to unfold, and with eclipses it does unfold over time. So yeah, Lisa, I wonder if I can play this without a copyright violation. I'm going to try. I can't, because if I leave the site, I will cancel out everything. So thank you for that. I'm going to play it and then link it. Cool. Oh, this one is, can you all hear that? Vanessa Williams, Save the Best for Last. I'm not going to play it because I'm not sure about the copyright rules. Letting go of past, but I will put the link down so you can hear it. And that, isn't that fitting? I mean, that's a song about romance, really, and being seen finally. But isn't that fitting for the last hexagram of the year? Saving the best for last. Here we've come to this place of the time before the beginning, and it's happening on an eclipse. And it's all happening at the very end to kind of activate us for the next thing. Yeah. Letting go of the past constructs, limitations, opening space for love. Very cool. Yeah. Opening the space. That's what I felt. Opening the space for love was really what I felt like when I got that image of the sun kind of coming through, standing on the earth and having the sun move through the heart center and then out to project out onto the face of the moon what we needed to see. Oh, all right. I don't know if there's anything else for us tonight. I don't know if my cat has accepted the limitation that he can't get into his room that I borrow for my office. um, so uh, let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to share with you. Well, I'll give you a little bit of information about the 41 that's coming up for the beginning of the new year. Again, it's all about that seed planting, and it's still a gate on the root, so it's still that relying on that pulse to start at the very beginning, to where you plant the seed and you still can't see it, but the dream is there. So the new year starts with the birth of the new dream. The gate 41 is a very dreamy kind of energy, dreaming of the next new experience, or the next new experience, moving forward into the next new experience that hasn't quite that isn't ready quite yet to blossom. So yeah, so yours was cat action in your time zone, and then Anne Rousseau, it wasn't about what stories I wanted to take with me. It was the qualities, the resilience, the honesty, the integrity, and nurturing. Yeah. Yeah. So all of those things, resilience, honesty, integrity, nurturing, have come from those experiences from the past that will help you to create a new story, and of what is going to move forward as you move into the new dream. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Yeah, so the dream is, I think we're moving into Aquarius. Oh, and leaving the past behind, taking those qualities with you. Absolutely. So allow yourself during this time, these last few degrees of Capricorn, just allow yourself to just feel where you've come. The path may have seemed narrow, the path may seem limited, but it's really what has kept you within the structures, or what has helped you to build the structures and containers where you will plant your seeds for the new year. I just got the image of a flower pot, so that's why I said that. Yeah, and for you, Anne, taking those qualities, planting those seeds of those qualities so that they really grow and bloom into the new year. And it will be fun in about 5 months for you to look back on this and really see what it is that has blossomed and bloomed, or what has come to fruition because of your experience of moving through this eclipse. Awesome. Okay, so on Tuesday, I don't know if I'm going to do a live stream. I've got an appointment in the morning. I don't know how an appointment outside of the house that has nothing to do with the work I do. No human design readings outside of the house this week, but an appointment outside that might mess with my energy, so I might need to take it slow. But if I decide to come on, I get that impulse to come on and do a live stream. It'll probably be in the afternoon, but I might just do a video about the 41, see how what comes through me that might support you energetically. And it'll be kind of like tonight's group gathering part 2. So, so look for that on Tuesday, in celebration of the Human Design New Year. So, all right. Oh, you want us to introduce me to introduce you? My cat is on a lot of videos, so go ahead and look for my cat. When I move into my new office, my cat will not be on any of my videos, so hold me accountable to that. My cat will not know where I work, even though it's in the same house, nor will my dog. And hopefully I won't cave because it becomes a distraction at certain points. But yes, I will introduce you at some point. But my cat has been introduced somewhere. Maybe I'll introduce my cat on Tuesday. I'll make a note of that. All right, so I'm feeling complete. I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight and coming together as a group to set this energy, to set, say the best, the best, of the last. And part two will be on Tuesday, either live or by recording. And in the meantime, savor these last few moments before we step into the seeds that we will plant to bring our next dream to fruition. So, have a wonderful evening. If you happen to be in a place where you can go outside, where you can bundle up and go outside and see the full moon and the eclipse, please do. I don't know if it's clear enough yet for. I'm going to go out here. I have to check on something for my neighbor, so I'm going to go outside and see if the clouds have gone so I can see the full moon. So until the next time, be well and take very good care of yourselves, and look for part two on Tuesday. So have a good evening, everyone, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you for coming on. Bye.